What's going on, guys? Broken Machine here. Hope you're all doing well today. Best settings for Warzone 2 here, PC and console. All the timestamps can be found in the description below and the pinned comments. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this, shall we? If you are new here, make sure to turn on notifications. I do stream this game here on YouTube almost daily, dropping nukes, many wins, and have a lot of fun with my friends. Anyway, enjoy. Let's begin with the controller settings. I am currently recording a video, so this is on mouse, normally on controller here. On the button layout, I actually have bumper jumper tactical flipped. I've just changed this recently, so left trigger on the back there becomes jump and mental. That works quite well for default controller users. The best setting for this though is the bottom here. B or circle becomes your melee weapon, and the right analog changes your stance, slides and dives. Much better for moving around the map, especially when in gunfights. Definitely recommend you give this layout a go. Of course, there is various other options here, but that and tactical flips are definitely ones I would recommend. If you want a full custom layout, set this to custom alt and adjust accordingly. Definitely recommend you flip the triggers here. Way better for gunfights, way more responsive. Definitely recommend them. When it comes to the stick layout preset, I'd recommend default. Southpaw, Legacy are for the more advanced users. Definitely recommend you turn off vibration. It does affect your aim and it isn't really necessary. When it comes to sensitivities, I would recommend somewhere between 4 and 8 for most people. I quite like 10. It's similar to 100 in Battlefield games, and that works for me. I wouldn't recommend going too high unless you're really experienced with the game. Lower sensitivity, when it comes to aim assist, feels a little stickier. As for the ADS sensitivity multiplier, this changes how fast your sensitivity is while aiming down sight. If you want it the same as hipfire, leave this on 1. If you want it half the speed, go for 0.5 and 2 for double. Personal preference on this one, but 1 is the way I like to go. I like my sensitivities to feel all the same. Now, as for the sensitivity multipliers here, again, I do like these to feel all the same, but you might want to have a little go at tweaking them in the vehicles. It's quite nice to have a little bit of a higher sensitivity on those. The vertical aim access, do you play inverted or not? If you do, stick it on inverted. Aim down sight behavior, I like this on hold. I highly recommend that for the majority of people. Change zoom, shared input, I would recommend sprint, tactical sprint and focus on that one. Automatic sprint, I like to have this off. Some people like automatic tactical sprint. I think that works for me. Equipment behavior, I prefer this to have it on hold. Weapon mount, double tap ADS, so you can just press the ADS button twice in a row and you'll grab onto a ledge with your weapon. Interact reload behavior, prioritize interact. So with this one, you have to tap to interact and hold to reload. Honestly, definitely recommend that. It really works well for me. Armor plate behavior, I just like this to be on 1. I used to have it on all in the previous game, but that works for me. I'd recommend that one. Onto the advanced tab here, target aim assist. Highly recommend you leave aim assist on. It's especially helpful in this game. If you want to be really good, turn it off, but honestly, the majority of players have got it on. You may as well leave it on. As for the aim assist type, a lot of people were using the Black Ops one in the Modern Warfare 2 beta for the multiplayer. I'd honestly recommend it on default. Black Ops 1 doesn't seem to be as good. Now for the gyro aiming, I just recommend turn this off unless you really want it on. Most people are not going to use this, but if you want to give it a go, turn it on and you can use the controller to aim, but nah, I think it's not the way to go. Now for the aiming options here. Now, as for the aim response curve type, I would recommend linear. That feels 1-to-1. Definitely recommend you give it a go and give it a real good go. I was using dynamic in Warzone 1, but now this one feels better to me and it feels better than it did in Warzone 1. Honestly, try linear first, give it a real good go, and if you're not sure, dynamic, it's a safe bet. I'd recommend the ADS sense multiplier here on focus. Just leave this on 1. ADS sensitivity transition timing, I like this to be on instant, so as soon as I aim down sight, my sensitivity is exactly the same. No delay, no lag, nothing like that. Some people don't like that. Gradual, it takes a little bit of time. After zoom, you've got to wait until you're fully zoomed in. Oh, no. Personally, try instant. It works. It's nice. It's reactive. Custom sensitivity pair zoom. I would leave this off if you want your sensitivity to feel the same across all sides, all zooms, and all that good stuff. If you want to tweak it, it's up to you. But personally, I like my sensitivity to feel the same all the time. As for the dead zones, 0.03 is what I would recommend. Wouldn't recommend going any lower. You'll see some stick drift. That's where if you just leave the controller on the side, your aim starts to go somewhere else on screen. If you are having issues with that, it's either a broken controller, or you've just got this too low. So give it a tweak. I wouldn't recommend anything higher than 0.15. The left stick max and right stick max inputs, I would leave these on default, which is 0.99 or 1 depending on your platform. Both of them feel exactly the same pretty much, so I'll just leave them. Left trigger, right trigger, you want to drop these all the way down, so as soon as you press the button to aim down sights or fire your weapon, it is instant. Movement behaviors, I like the sprint, tactical sprint to be on toggle. Some people like hold. Again, most of these options are going to be personal preference. So I'm just going to say, you know, you just want to have a quick go through here. Some of these mantle options, you might want to have a little tweak. Some people don't like these auto stuff. Some people do. Honestly, I'm going to say again, it is personal preference. I know someone's going to comment down below saying I hate it when you say that, but I'm going to leave it in anyway. ADS stick swap, turn that off. Backpack, alternate control, I like this on. So basically in Warzone 2, when you bring up your backpack with a controller, you can just use the left analog to move it, to navigate it, sorry. Weapon mount movement, exit, basically as soon as you press your left analog to move, or your WASD on mouse and keyboards, you will instantly get off the weapon mount. Definitely recommend that. I leave the exit delay on medium. Honestly, personal preference with that one again. Depleted ammo weapon switch. Well, you got no ammo in your weapons, so you may as well just switch to another one. So I leave that on. Some people don't like that. It's up to you. But if I got no ammo in my weapon, I just want a quick switch. Quick C4 detonation. Personal preference again, I like this to be off. Vehicle camera recenter. Set this to short delay. May as well have it on that. Camera initial position, I like free look, so the camera, as soon as I jump into a vehicle, it's not looking somewhere else, it's just exactly where I am currently. You know, if I'm tracking a guy, I don't want the camera to look elsewhere. Scoreboard, map behavior, toggle, ping wheel delay, moderate, double tap, danger, ping delay, moderate as well. Let's go to graphics, and we're going to do console here first. On console, we can adjust the graphic settings. We'll do those first and then move on to PC. On-demand texture streaming, leave this on, set allocated to small, off, and that should be good to go. World motion blur, turn that off. Weapon motion blur, off as well. Turn down the film grain to 0. Turn off the depth of field unless you really like it. And set the fidelity FXCAS to on. I like the strength to be on 100. I'd recommend somewhere between 75 and 100 and you'll be good to go. 120 Hz refresh rate. Do make sure in the PlayStation settings or on Xbox that you actually have this set to 120 Hz in the screen and video settings. There it is right there on screen. Xbox has a similar menu. Field of view here, I've actually gone down to 110. I feel like this has more aim assist. Kind of feels a little bit sticky. ADS field of view, I like this to be unaffected. You get a little less zoom, but it feels nicer to control your weapon and there is less visual recoil. If you don't like that, set it to independent and you get a little bit extra zoom. Weapon field of view, I like this to be on wide, so the weapon is a little bit smaller on the screen. You see a little bit more in front of you. Third person field of view, stick this all the way up and set the vehicle field of view to wide. Now for the first person camera movement, you want this on 50% and the third person camera movement on 50% as well. Less movement, better aim. It works for me, works for most, recommend. Third person ADS transition, set this to first or third person depending on what you like to aim in as. Third person is going to suit most people. Default spectator camera, leave this on game perspective. Set your brightness to 60%, that should work for most people. A little bit brighter, a little easier to see in the darker areas. Safe area, you can actually adjust this a little bit. I would recommend default is going to be fine for most people, but if you want to bring it in just a little bit, you can bring in the HUD, that's the stuff on screen while you're in game, so you don't have to look around so much. Definitely recommend you have a tweak with that. Let's move over to the PC settings. Display mode, set this to full screen exclusive. Set your display monitor to your main monitor. Display adapter to your main graphics card. Screen refresh rate, whichever is the highest available. Display resolution, again, highest available. Dynamic resolution. If you do have a lower end PC, you might want to have a go at turning this on, but for most people, off is the way to go. Aspect ratio, leave this on automatic. VSync turn off. That will incur input lag. You don't want that. VSync off in the menus as well. Set a custom frame limit. I like to max it out while in game, drop it to 60 while in the menus, and 30 when you're out of focus. Click the restart shaders optimization if you're having issues. It's one way you can potentially help fix the game. Shader optimization there as well. You can learn about the process of shader optimization if you want to check that out. Display gamma 2.2 sRGB is probably going to be fine for most monitors. If you've got a fancy one, 2.4 can work for you. Again, if you've got a fancy one, you'll probably know what you're doing here. Brightness again, set this to 60. HDR, I have this off, turn on if you do have a HDR monitor. As for the quality, I like a custom setting here. Render resolution, set this to 100. Again, if you have a lower end PC, you can drop this a little bit and get a few more frames. Something like 90% is probably going to be fine for most people. Now, upscaling, sharpening, set this to Fidelity FXCAS. Again, somewhere between 75 and 100 is going to be fine. All of these options here, I'm sure you can copy these yourselves. I'm not going to go through each detail and what it means. It says on screen, you'll see it. But for this settings here, you get nice frame rates. Game runs fine, doesn't crash too much, and the game, it looks pretty good. Definitely looks pretty good. Yeah, all these options work quite well for me. I'm running a 3080 Ti, soon to be a 4090. Obviously, you can turn on water and all this kind of stuff here if you want to make the game look a little prettier, but I much prefer having those higher frame rates, and I imagine a lot of you people out there do as well. Do make sure you turn on Nvidia Reflex Low Latency on and boost, and yeah, the input lag will feel less and should feel a little nicer aiming as well. Now onto the view, FOV 110 as I said earlier. I don't play much mouse and keyboard on this game anymore. Controller seems to be the way to go. It works perfectly for me. And I've dropped my FOV just down 10 points, and it feels the aim assist is a little stickier in places. Perfect, but feels a little better. Again, we talked about these options earlier. Make sure you copy those. Just to add here for the PC users, make sure in the Nvidia control panel you are actually on the highest refresh rates of your monitor. Mine's on 240 currently. Unfortunately, this monitor is about to die, so I'm going to have to go back to my 144. But yeah, that's pretty much it there. And of course, you can manage the 3D settings here. I'm going to leave these on screen if you want to copy them. Those are pretty much optimized and work pretty well. So do be sure to copy those, but especially make sure your monitor is running at the highest refresh rate. A lot of people forget that. Now for the keyboard and mouse, I don't play much mouse on this game, but I will show you my settings. If you want to copy, go ahead, but I would recommend using the website on screen right now to convert your sensitivity from other games to this one as well. Relative, I will say for the ADS sensitivity type, I think that is the way to go with that one. Monitor distance coefficients, I would leave this on the default value. There is lots of talk on what should be used here, but honestly, I think the default value is fine for most people. Again, I don't have a custom sensitivity when I do use a mouse. I like my sensitivities to feel all the same, and that is pretty much it there. Do make sure you turn off any mouse acceleration, filtering, smoothing, and those options there. When it comes to gameplay, again, all of this is pretty much personal preference. You can adjust these if you wish, but I do use a controller, so none of this really applies to me anymore on this game. As for the keybinds, I think the default values are just fine. Again, if you've got other games that are your favorites, bring the keybinds over here and you'll be good to go. Now, audio settings, pretty much similar to console, so I'm not going to show that here. So audio mix, home theater works the best for me. I leave the master volume on 100, turn off the music, have it up a little bit if you like the music, but I like to have it off completely. Dialogue volume down a bit to 56. Effects, hit markers on 100. Speakers, headphones, default system device. Change this if you're having issues and, for example, you want to make sure your headphones are picked. You can do that there. Subtitles, I leave on default. Turn them on if you need them. And voice chat, I do leave this on here. I also have proximity chat on as well. But do make sure at the bottom in a second, make sure you have mute yourself when connecting. There's some options here, of course, for the voice chat and your microphone. So have a little play of those if you need to adjust your microphone and all that jazz. Anyway, that is pretty much it there. Juggernaut music, I leave that on. Hitmarker sound effects, I like it on Modern Warfare. Mute game when minimized, I leave that off. And I actually turn this reduced sound here. I don't have this, but yeah, I leave it on. Game sounds fine, and yeah, a lot of people I know are using this, so you may as well leave that option there on. Anyway, let's move it over to the interface here. I mostly leave all of these options on default. If you like the text to be bigger or you want to change the opacity, there is many options here if you wish. You can actually customize these colors here. I have changed this one here. So neutral, that's when I'm pinging a place. I've changed this to a bright pink so I can see it clearly on my screen. Definitely recommend having a little play here. The default values are fine, but the neutral, change it to something bright so you can actually see where you've pinged. Definitely recommend that. Of course, similar to the options I discussed here, you can change the boundaries of the heads-up display, bring it in a little on PC as well. Definitely recommend you change the minimap shape to square. You see a little bit more of the map, so you may as well do that. No need for it to be on round. And all of these options, again, are personal preference really, but you may as well just leave them on default or the values seen on screen here. Don't think many people are going to turn these off. Telemetry, you can see your FPS with this one and the server latency, so I like to have those. Sometimes I have the packet loss as well, just to make sure I'm on a decent server. Again, personal preference, you want to see any of these, make sure you turn them on. And that is pretty much it. Parallax effects, some people don't like that. You can turn that off there if you wish. Center dot, I would recommend you turn this on so you always have a center dot in the middle of your screen. Definitely will help with aiming. There is one more category here, account and network. Import settings, you can import them from the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Set the Activision account here. Display friend real names, turn that on if you wish. Two-factor authentication, you can deal with that, I'm sure. Cloud storage, I would leave that on. There is your blocked player list. Network info, never click that if you're streaming. It will show your IP address. If you don't want to see the text chat, turn it off there. Profanity filter there if you need to turn it on or off. And of course, you can turn off the gore effects if you don't like them. Credits here, all that good stuff to do with the game, agreements, all that jazz. But that is pretty much it. Well, that's all of my settings. Hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you did, a dislike if you didn't. Make sure to turn on notifications. I stream this game all the time. We drop nukes, get a lot of wins, and yeah, I'd love to see you in the chat. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take it easy.